Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 179 at scavengerlife.com.
So today we're talking to Adam from Mysterious Caravan, and for those of you that have been with us for a while know that Adam was basically our original fan, and we've talked to him, we've interviewed him twice. Back in 2013 and then January of 2014. So this is our third time. And we thought we'd just kind of update with Adam because, Adam, you basically started your store from scratch when we first started talking. So I think this would be a good opportunity to kind of just touch base just to see how life has, kind of treated you.
Yeah, that sounds excellent.
Yep. So, how have things been in your life in general?
Life in general is good. I started the store, like you said, in 2013, which is the year my daughter was born. So that's kind of the store and the daughter are like on parallel paths.
Right. I mean, and just real quick, just because I think there's a lot of people that have not started it with us, so probably aren't caught up. Why did you decide to start an eBay store and have a daughter at the same time?
That's an interesting way of putting it. I guess when we were doing our initial family planning, like most responsible, mature adults, we were trying to take a look at our budget and see what we could make work. And my wife works full-time, I work full-time, and our incomes just kind of weren't where we wanted them to be to support a family. So my wife thought we should try to look into opening our own business, and then I started looking into entrepreneur type blogs and websites, and I actually came across your guys' blog. And I had listened to a few different podcasts, and I was just kind of like, meh. And then, like, when I listened to you guys, I was just like, okay, these are a couple of real people who are making money on eBay, and they're not trying to sell me anything. They're just,
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that we're the best, but definitely there's a lot of kind of sleazy kind of like marketing, entrepreneurship stuff online. It's like
Absolutely.
it's like all those late night, like get rich quick scheme kind of things,
Yeah, and I sifted through quite a few of those before I found your blog, and I wasn't even thinking of an eBay store until I listened to your show, and then it was just like, so you guys made it sound so approachable,
right.
And so. Yeah, and I already was kind of, digging around in thrift stores and garage sales, and I kind of felt like I had a decent eye for finding cool items already, so I just was like, hey, let's try the eBay store, and yeah, we kind of haven't looked back since.
I mean, and I just want to give it back to you, because I remember it was so exciting because, we were doing this blog, we were putting up podcasts, and, we had the ability for people to comment, but really no one was commenting, and you were like the first person to actually start commenting, and you were like a real person, because I think that was my biggest fear when we started this blog, would just be like, it would just be all these brain dead people, or just, I didn't know what to expect. So it was really cool.
Trolls. Lots of trolls.
Trolls, yeah. It was just cool to actually meet like another human being, and it was just fun. We started having these conversations, and it was just neat because you were just kind of starting the process. I guess we were probably about 2 or 3 years ahead of you. So it's kind of neat to walk you through, kind of getting started.
Yeah, it's nice. You guys are like that older brother that like goes to college first.
That's right.
Your little brother asks you, like, show me the ropes.
Right. Did you have a wife who works full-time? Did you work full-time? And now, do you have a daughter who's, about a year and a half now?
Yeah, a little bit over that.
Yeah. And so you pretty quickly started filling up as your store, kind of going by what we were saying worked it for us. It was just like bulk listing and, buy it now. And that was working for you, right? And then what happened? Or how are things now?
Yeah, that's what worked for us. I think, a lot of people who get really gung-ho about this is they hit it really hard that first year. they try to get their numbers up, and we pushed it really hard all through 2013 into 2014, and we went from not having an eBay store at all to having around 500, 550 items, I think is about the highest we got our store inventory. All buy it now. Some of the items had best offer on them if they were lower priced items, but or if they were higher priced items. But yeah, I mean, basically we got up to 550, and I tried to kind of maintain the 500 item level for a while, and it was working. We were making pretty good money. I think that in our better months we were making somewhere around $700 to $1,000 profit.
Wow.
A month, and that's when we had that bigger inventory. The last 4 or 5 months or so, we've kind of not really been hitting the store very hard as far as listing goes, and our store has dropped from 550 to about 400 items. So it's I've done a little bit of listing here and there over the last few months, but the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 months, we've kind of just been on autopilot, just packaging and shipping items, that whole thing. But I have acquired my very own dreaded pile of stuff that I need to list.
Now, this brings up two things. I mean, good and bad. I mean, the good part is because you put up all that work up front, you front loaded. Now that you kind of stopped a listing, things are still selling though, right? I mean, you aren't making the same kind of money, but money's coming in.
Yeah, I just took a look at my numbers earlier today, and on average, the past 6 months, we're making a profit about $377 a month.
Right. Huh.
And that's an average of selling like 21 items a month.
Huh.
So that's pretty good for not listing.
Yeah, I wonder how long you could go and make kind of that kind of money on, starting with 500 items. Like, would it be a year or something, Yeah,
I mean, if I look at my expense reports that I use that GoDaddy bookkeeping site, and it's interesting to look at the graphical chart because it's got to be straight up just a numbers game, because from December 2013 to December 2014, it was just like a slide down, As the store item number dropped, it was pretty consistent, just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And
right.
This $300 to $400 profit a month thing has been probably pretty consistent for about 5 months, but I don't think it's going to last too much longer.
Right.
I got to get to the listing.
Now, the other question I have is, so it's interesting, you guys started the eBay store to make the extra income, and you were doing pretty good. I mean, to make an extra $700 or $1,000 a month, I mean, that's like a mortgage payment,
Yep.
So now that you've kind of slacked off a little bit on the eBay store, do you miss that income, or did you slack off because you got a raise, or?
Well, it was mostly, we had in mind that one of the two of us would probably quit working
right
at our full-time job, and that's kind of why I hit it so hard that first year.
Right.
That was kind of a goal. I mean, we were on the path of getting to that goal, but something about the clutches of that steady paycheck for both of us, just we weren't ready to just go for it, Right. And the other thing is, there's a difference between having a 6-month-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Yeah.
You can't just put them in the crib for a couple hours, walk away, and do whatever you want. They're just go all the time. Yeah. And I'm not using that as an excuse, because I know there's plenty of people out there with kids that are just kicking butt on their eBay stores. But for me personally, that has been a big factor in the slowing down. Yeah. I'm speeding up chasing after my kid, but I'm slowing down with listing.
Yeah. I mean, this is not good or bad. It's just interesting to talk to someone who understands, how to run an eBay store. And I think you get the whole big picture. Now it's more about just the process and the details, and life happens, I mean, it's,
yep.
And I think a lot of people listening to us will totally identify. They also work full-time jobs, or they have kids, or, they're taking care of their parents or something like that. I mean, me and Ryan are lucky because we don't have kids. We don't have anything other than like each other and our cats, so we can just like work on this full time. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine trying to juggle all that other stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it goes in spurts for me personally. Just it's almost like a hilly valley where I'm one moment I'm going downhill, just picking up speed, listing like crazy, finding all kinds of cool stuff, and then it's like I just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna like chill out down here for a while and just like let the store work itself for a few months, and then like now it's like January, holiday season's done. I'm just in like the cold tundra of North Dakota, and I'm gonna find time to list this winter, and then I'll be looking forward to garage sailing in the summer again too. So
yeah, I think you bring up a really good point about why I love eBay is because, or just selling online in general, is because it can kind of ebb and flow based on what we're into. Like sometimes we go away for 6 weeks and we just kind of, we don't list anymore, but things still sell, and then we come back and then we get back into it again, and And
I have a certain sense of pride just working for myself, even if it's just a part-time job, versus whatever, delivering pizzas or, whatever. I'm not bad-mouthing that job, but it's just nice being able to kind of work my own hours and be in charge of myself and still make a decent chunk of money for a part-time job.
So I think it's interesting. One of your goals, like you said, was you wanted to get the store going where I think you were trying to hit like $1,000 or $1,200 a month. And you were saying that could replace your wife's full-time job, and then she would stay at home, work on eBay, and take care of your daughter. And then that didn't turn out happening but it wasn't so bad. I guess your wife was saying she told her job she was going to quit because you guys felt good about that. But then they said, well, please stay. And didn't they give her more money to stay?
Yeah, my wife had put in her notice to leave, and they offered her a raise to stay, which was obviously a factor. But I mean, another factor was when she put in her notice, it was kind of like a reality set in of what we were actually going to do. And it kind of freaked us out a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, we knew we could do it, and the other part of that was, and still is, that the eBay store, we started it together, but I've more or less ran it myself this whole time. She could do it, but she's just not quite as into this lifestyle as I am,
right,
where it's super natural for me to go out every Saturday for 5 hours and go garage sale shopping. Like, I like doing it. It's just not quite her scene as much as it is for me, and it's natural for me to be able to just sit down and zone out for 4 or 5 hours and just list. It's definitely more my thing than hers. Right. So when we were originally thinking she would quit her job based off of the eBay store income, we were kind of thinking she would take over a lot more of the eBay responsibilities, but we kind of talked about it, and it wasn't really her thing. Like, her thing would maybe be opening up a home daycare, because she's a childhood development major, so she's got experience in that world, and she'd feel more comfortable doing something like that, more in her realm. So that's what happened there, and that's kind of why that goal changed.
I was thinking it was kind of like a net positive, like either way, was because even though she didn't quit her job, because of eBay, she was able to say she was going to quit, and then they gave her a raise. So it was kind of
it worked out either way. I mean, it gave her the confidence to put in her notice, even though she kind of felt like she wasn't going to be able to go through with it. Right. But no one needs to know that, right? Yeah. Just us and the people on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I doubt her bosses will be hearing this.
Probably not.
Yeah. And she's and I bet she's worth every penny too, so it doesn't matter. A lot of people, when we talk, the assumption is, everyone wants to do this full time and quit their jobs, but you don't really seem to be that way. You seem to like your job, or you kind of are into it, right?
Yeah,
your regular job.
That's definitely true. I am fortunate enough to have a job that I like. I work in the graphic design world. I learn a lot at my job and have had a lot of good experiences, and I've been treated pretty fairly. Everyone wants to make more money at their jobs, but for what I do, I feel pretty good about what I get paid and how I get treated.
Yeah. And when you're at your job, I mean, I'm assuming it's not a painful experience that I think a lot of people have.
No, it's not. And I know that experience. I went through that during the big economic downfall of whatever, 2009 or whatever it was, when I was working fresh out of college for a magazine publishing company, and just as like a data entry person. But either way, it was a decent job. And then that company went under, and I found myself like, okay, I graduated with a degree in music, and I have about a year of experience doing random things in an office. So I was looking at this, like, what am I going to apply for, you know? And I wound up doing like a tech support job for about a year, and then a sales job for another year. And those jobs just destroyed my soul. Like, I didn't want to. I know that feeling of being at one of those jobs. And if I was there currently, I would not be afraid to quit to do this full time. But since I'm at a place where I'm comfortable and I'm happy, I don't feel that desire to just cut all strings and run with the eBay store. But I love having that. It's just like this comfortable, cushiony padding below me all the time, where it's like, if I wanted to quit, not a big deal, you know. I could make my way with the store.
So, I mean, so after, you know, I guess we're about 2.5 years into this now, do you feel if, like, that job, if you got laid off, could you pick it up, and do you think that you could turn it into a full-time thing in 2 months, you know?
I would say yes. Depending on the time of year. I'd say right now I probably have 100 to 150 items to list that I haven't taken care of from the summer. I think I could definitely find a way to get through this. If I got fired tomorrow, I could list this stuff, and I could, you know, pick through the thrift stores in town and find enough stuff to just keep growing slowly throughout the winter. And then next summer I would just, ideally, in my imagination at least, I think that I could definitely turn it into a full-time, completely replace my income type job.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because I guess what you're talking about, because you live in a really cold place, right? Yeah. Right now is not a good time to be hunting for items, but I mean, technically, you feel comfortable with the whole business, its process, like yes. You've seen it, yeah.
If someone would have asked me 2 years ago if I thought I could even start my own business of any kind, I would just be like, no, I don't know how. You know, and that's kind of like, I don't know. Like, for some reason, this makes sense to me more than any other, like, kind of startup type business, where it's just like, it's kind of like the platform's already there. You have to pay your fees and whatever. But I mean, I love eBay and I love PayPal, and I've had a great experience these first couple of years using all of these products, and it's pretty easy to do once you get over that hurdle of the learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just a really low barrier to entry is, I think, the reason why we're into it, you know. And eBay seems to work, and if eBay doesn't work, then something else will pick up. You know, it's all kind of the same. I mean, and, you know, me and Ryan, we still do our other job. Like, we make videos for people. People hire us to make videos. And we still do that, you know, 3 or 4 times a year. But I guess we always say, like, eBay really gives us its cushion and the confidence to only take jobs we really want. And we go into these jobs really calm because we know we're good, you know. I think that's what I love about it, you know. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can kind of integrate them both, you know.
Absolutely. It's like that cushion I was talking about. It's just like, it's a comfortable thing where it's almost like it empowers you to just be confident to pursue anything, because you're like, I did this and this is working for me, and maybe I could do something bigger or something different, you know. And if it doesn't work, I still have this. So.
Yep. I mean, have you ever thought about just going freelance, or the part of the reason why it's good is because it's a steady gig?
I like the steadiness of it. I mean, the freelance area, I mean, I don't know. I think I do pretty good. You know, I don't know if I definitely don't think I would have the customer base, at least right away, to be able to,
Right.
fulfill all of that steady income from the other job. But I could mix and match and do freelance and do eBay. But yeah, it's the steadiness of it that it's just that comfort level. And if it's like everyone always talks about the North Dakota work ethic.
Yeah.
I just need to work that 40 hours a week, or I just am not comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's another guy who popped up on our site. I don't know, about a year ago. His name is Steven Schultz, and he comments all the time and puts his numbers in. He actually moved. I'm pretty sure he's in South Dakota too. He moved there from Arizona, of all places, to South Dakota, and so. So yeah, he talks about scavenging up there right now during the winter time, and he says what he's been doing is going on Craigslist and
Interesting.
And going on those boards, and people are selling cowboy boots and radios and all kinds of stuff that he buys off of them for cheap and then sells them on eBay.
That's nice.
Yeah, crazy.
Hey, Steven, if you hear this, you just stay on the South Dakota side, brother. Just kidding.
Yeah. It's just interesting how, I mean, people complain about there not being enough stuff in their area, and I have a hard time understanding if that's true in America. It just seems like every corner of America is full of junk, but maybe in different places there's more there's more people fighting for it.
I suppose the trendier area that you live in, the worse. I guess if it's like tons of people are trying to like buy all the cool stuff all the time, but that's you guys have talked about that before too. Is you have to like rethink what's something of value. You're like, okay, I'm going to go to this thrift store and I'm going to go straight to the boot section and look for my Red Wings and my Doc Martens or whatever. And on the way to the boot section, you might be have your blinders on and not see like some weird object and off in the distance that
a big thing of fabric, like we've been talking about,
or a quilt, or just a vanity mirror for your bathroom, just something different that maybe isn't so mainstream. But
kind of getting back to what we've been talking about, because this I think is the most interesting thing. It's for me. I noticed that a lot of people, is like you were saying earlier, they start on eBay, they get real excited by it, they start making money right away, and they kind of like power into it for about 6 months or a year, and it seems great. And then something happens, family stuff or just life happens, and then they kind of slow down, and then they kind of like, sometimes they almost kind of get out of eBay for a while, and we see them pop back up. Like, I used to sell, I'm coming back. Do you miss that money you were making, or?
At the time that we were making that money, it was with a clear, like we talked about, it was with a clear goal in mind. Like it had to replace an income completely. And when that changed, which would have been about a year and a half into selling, then the whole point of the store changed for us, and it was like, okay, well, we don't have to replace that income, at least not right now. We've learned that the potential to do that is there if we ever want to pursue that. But once that driving force of why we were doing it was gone, it was just kind of like, oh, well, I guess I don't have to work quite so hard on it, because I was putting in some extremely long late night hours on it and just really trying to beef up the store for about a year there. And I guess you could just say the simple answer to that question is you get burned out a little. You hit some of those milestones and you're feeling good, and then you're just like, okay, I'm going to back off for a little bit now. Right. But then it's that backing off that it does cost you in the end. If you didn't have a second income, then you'd be hurting if you just backed off like that.
Well, right, because so I'm assuming then if you were going and working, 8 hours, and I guess it really, that's more like 10 hours when you think about going back and forth and all that, spending time it's with your daughter and then putting in whatever 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
a listing.
And there's other projects that I'm interested in. I'm in a band, and I've been writing a fantasy novel series.
Wow.
There's other things that I want to spend some of that time with. So I've just had to let go a little bit of the eBay store so I could pursue some other things too. But
so I mean, why even? I mean, it's wondering. So why not just just stop doing it completely?
I guess in my mind, although I haven't listed in 4 months or so, I've never once felt like I stopped doing it.
Good.
Because I'm still packaging an item every other day. I'm still shipping stuff. I'm still answering questions. I'm still, transferring money from my PayPal account to my personal account at the end of every month.
All right.
And, so it's like I never really felt like I was thrown in the towel or on my way out. I just was kind of like riding the wave for a while. Yep. But like I said, this time last year, I didn't have anything to list. And now I have just this giant pile from this summer because I put in the work this summer. Yep. So it's kind of like I'm waiting for that perfect storm of ambition and need to strike.
Okay, so I think this is okay. I think we've hit on a very important point, that and maybe this might fit with other people's schedules, that, if you put in that initial work and get your store up to, we always told people 500 items, and that's what you did. Once you get that, it's almost like you could just slack off and then just kind of do short bursts of a listing every couple months even, put in a weekend, and list 50 things. And then slack off for a month and a half again, Yeah,
hit the Xbox for a while, whatever.
Seriously.
You gotta live too.
Yeah, of course.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Yeah, that's an interesting a model for people that have full-time jobs and families and all that.
Yeah, I think eBay is fun, and I was pushing really hard to not be in the hobbyist category for a while, and I'm not sure. I think right now I'm definitely in that realm where I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of selling some stuff over here, but I'm not pushing it too hard, but at any time I could just turn it back on, and that gives me a sense of happiness and power that I feel like I can just hit it hard, this weekend if I want, and just list 20, 30 items and just get back in the game.
As a scavenger, even though you don't list as much right now, are you always on the lookout? It's for stuff.
I don't think you can turn that part off if you wanted to. Right. You're out and you see something, you got to pick it up. It's that'll sell. That'll sell in the store. So, I'm still picking up stuff here and there too. Yeah, that's a good point. So, just the listing is, and I think everyone would probably agree that the listing part is that's that part of that equation that's probably the toughest to keep up with.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's the thing that everyone hates. Everyone hates that. It's an unglamorous part. That's a part that turns people into hoarders because they just start getting piles and they don't list, and then it just builds up in their house and it becomes detritus in their house.
Yeah.
So what kind of, have you been finding some cool stuff in the past 6 months? You've been...
There's been some cool stuff. A couple of items that I sold recently that I thought were really cool. One was an old laboratory set. It was beakers and this wire rim vial holder and all these glass things and corks and stuff and flasks. That set I found at a garage sale, and I think I paid a couple bucks for it, and I was able to sell it for $75, I think.
Cool.
But one of the coolest things I sold, and I don't even know what it really was. It was a centerpiece for a dining room table. It was a candlestick holder thing, but it was all cast metal, and it was made out of bike gears and stuff. So it looked really steampunk, and that was another cheap item I picked up that was just cool that I sold. That I don't know. I just was I saw it and I was I don't know. I don't know what this thing is, but this is going in the store.
See, I love stuff like that, and I think it was interesting when you found us and we started talking. You just naturally kind of fell into what we fell into, and that is just the cool things to sell are the weird little objects that people pass over, and it seems like you're attracted to all that stuff too.
Yeah, it's there's just something about that type of item. Like, yeah, when you go out, you're looking for your items that sell regularly, and you want to pick up as many of those as you can. But I think it reinvigorates your spirit in a way when you find an item like that. It just is like, okay, this thing's cool. Like, I'm going to get home. I'm going to research this thing. I'm going to list it. I'm going to price it super high. Right. It's kind of like, gets you excited about it, because if you're just listing shoes and shirts all day, you just kind of like, ah.
Yeah. It's almost like, I was thinking about it the other day. It's almost like it's a challenge, you know? Like, I see this thing and I'm just like, that's the weirdest thing. Like, I wonder if I can sell that, you know? I wonder if I can find another person on the planet that's going to pay me money for this thing, you know? And
the answer is yes, right?
Yeah, right, you know? If you take it and put it in the right context, I think that's the important thing too. I mean, like you just called that thing that someone would put on their table steampunk, you know? That gives it a context that, you know, a certain person's going to try and find, rather than just like a piece of junk, you know?
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I love this junk though. I'll tell you what, it makes me look forward to the white elephant gift exchange at work every year.
I don't know what that is. Wait, is that a Secret Santa or something?
Yeah, like Secret Santa, everyone brings in like the worst piece of junk, weird item they can find, and then one of your coworkers winds up with it. It's awesome. I got rid of this. I don't know what it was. It was like a little dragon statue. It looked like it would go in like a Korean buffet restaurant as decor, but it was heavy and it was chipped up, and I was just like, here you go.
There you go.
I told everyone it was haunted, so that helped, I think, make it really special for everyone.
So you guys were born in that area. Is there ever any chance of you're going to move out of the state and go somewhere else?
That's a good question. I think my wife's from St. Paul, Minnesota, and I'm from North Dakota, born and raised here. And we've talked about moving to the St. Paul, Minneapolis area before. Her family's out there. It's something we've considered. But honestly, I mean, for me personally, I would see myself moving into a more rural area versus a bigger city area if I had the choice. Mm-hmm. Ideally, I would love to be like an hour in between like two cities, like kind of out there where I have two different options, and I could, if that would be assuming I did the eBay store full time,
right?
Then I would have two major hubs to like get inventory from. That's something that I've thought about a lot, and I don't know if it'll, while we're both working full time, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but we actually love living where we live.
Yep.
It's really kind of a cool mix of stuff.
Yep.
Here, so
right, because it's kind of a college town, right? So it's probably got some culture,
there's 3 major colleges and like several tech colleges, and I mean there's just a ton of stuff going on here. It's like pretty good for like a music and art scene, but it also is really like, it's not super trendy. It's just sort of like, I don't know. It's like a Midwest city.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of. I mean, I think any time that you have a bunch of young people in one area, it's just naturally going to feel cool,
Yeah, it's fun. I like it. I mean, we live like a block from one of the major campuses, so it gets kind of rowdy around here, but that's okay.
Man, I bet it's whenever you want to sell that house. I bet you could do pretty well.
Yep.
Being that
we've definitely, that's something we've definitely kept in mind this entire time we've lived here. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom place, so we'd be able to rent that out pretty well, I think. So, but,
and have you guys, or are there plans to have more kids, or who knows?
Yeah, I think it's more than likely that we'll have at least one more kid, maybe 2. It's just just kind of trying to figure out the timeline and keeping the income, the finances in order. Because I know we talk about that too all the time, where it's like there's 16-year-old kids with 2 kids.
Yep.
It's like, if we can do it, we should be able to find a way to like somehow make this happen.
I mean, I'm someone that doesn't have any kids, so I can only tell you what it looks like from the outside. But I see people with multiple kids, and I'm just like, it doesn't look like. I mean, I guess you can kind of have hazy plans, but I think it's mainly it just starts happening, and then I guess people just start solving problems as it happens, you know?
Yeah, and we felt the same way, like, when we were buying our house. We're like, can we make this work, you know? Yep. But you kind of jump into some stuff like this, and, you know, you kind of find a way to make it work somehow, you know?
And it's your idea of moving to to a rural area. Why is that? You just want more of a quiet kind of lifestyle, or?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in a town with probably like 2,500 people, and moving to where I live now, it was like a big step for me. You know, my wife and I, we lived our wild top part of our life, you know, and we explored the cities we lived in and had fun, and, you know, but now that we have a kid, and even just if it was just the two of us, we would still prefer kind of a little bit more quiet lifestyle. Right. You know, we're homebodies for the most part, and we're not big into like restaurants and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, plus you can buy everything online now anyway, so you don't really need the shopping.
I'm telling you. I mean, you know, like I guess I was what, 30, how am I on now? I was probably 36 when we moved to the countryside, and I'd always been in an urban area my whole life, and I now realize, like, this is it. Like, this to me is the American dream, is like living in the middle of nowhere. Or it's not in the middle of nowhere. It's like you said, you're about an hour and a half, or we're about an hour and a half away from two major areas, and you know, it feels like we're in the sticks, but we're super close, and everything, the internet, it makes stuff like this possible. You know, we were just talking on the internet, and you can buy things on the internet and read the news and watch TV. I mean,
yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to do something like that 20 years ago.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
Like, but now it's just like, why doesn't everyone do that?
Right.
It just seems like it's the way to go.
I mean, we always tell our friends who live in urban areas, when they're complaining about rent and all this stuff and expensive houses, we're just like, why do you live there? Just get out of the urban. But they always talk about jobs, you know, that's where their job is, and I get that. But then I guess that's what we have. And you have too, is that ability to make money selling things on eBay. That's really the missing key, you know?
You know, you think of if we did move to even a smaller town and, you know, live in a really relatively close distance to the town, you know, I could do the store, Emma could have a home daycare,
Yep.
You know, I could freelance some stuff. I mean, we could definitely do it.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, when it's your kids, when it's your daughter gets older, and if you have another kid too, I mean, is it important that they grow up in that kind of environment, or is it cool if they grew up in a city? Or have you?
I do like, you know, I did feel like growing up in a small town in North Dakota. I felt a little bit isolated from the world, you know, like in a bad way, like where it was just kind of like you don't get to experience any other culture. You know, there's a lot less opportunities, even in your high school, you know, as far as like groups you can join and things you can participate in. So the small town aspect of it, as far as safety goes, is kind of, you know, nice, because I just remember when I was a kid, like running around like all day wherever I wanted to go. Like here, it's like, okay, kid, there's the fenced in area for you to play in, you know.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But I don't know. It wouldn't. I think it would work either place, but. Yeah, it's just kind of a little dream in the back of our minds to like live in a more rural area.
Again, the cool thing is, I guess the bottom line is that because you figured out how to sell stuff on eBay and make its money for at least a while there, that it just opens up opportunities that I just remember, man, in my like 20s and 30s, or part of my 30s, it was just like if I didn't work, I didn't know what I'd do, you know? Like I had to have a job, you know? And now I love it that I don't have to have a job if I don't want one.
Yeah, but you do. You probably work harder than a lot of people that have real jobs
right.
too.
Yeah, I guess.
And you're passionate about it, and it's your thing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing. When I say job, I guess I don't think of this as a job. It's just something. It's more. It is. It kind of feels more like a hobby that pays our bills. Like a hobby in the sense of like, if you enjoy doing it, like playing in a band, it'd be like that. It's like almost like you're getting paid to do that.
Yeah, that's another thing that's just so great about the eBay store experience for me was like for many, many years, I tried different like projects and like tried to make money selling music and tried to make money performing and there's been a lot of different like artistic venues I've tried to find some form of income in, and it could be that I'm just not super talented, but the eBay store was like the first thing in my life that I kind of did by myself, that was concrete, that had like steady money coming in.
Right.
And it just is like, it's cool that exists for people like me,
I mean, it's funny that you talk like that because, I mean, I was the same way, being kind of like an arty kind of guy. I never considered it myself a business person, and I would try and do things on the side that just never went anywhere. And it is interesting, like we flourish in this kind of environment, like
it's such a cool of things. It's just, it works for people like us, I guess.
Cool. Well, so it's been good getting back in touch. It's with you. So it was. Yeah, so it was like the middle of 2013. It was the beginning of 2014. Now at the beginning of 2015. I guess we can get back together in a year and see where things are, if you don't mind.
Yeah. No, I would love to. When you approached me to be on the show again, I was just like, oh man, I've been really slacking. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah. I think people who are hearing this, I think there's a lot of people in your kind of world where they have a job and they have a family, and because they have a family, they feel like they need to have a job because of benefits and all that. I get that. But, they're selling online, and everyone's, kind of wondering, could I do this full time? Should I do it full time? Maybe I don't want to, it's all those questions,
Who knows? We'll see what 2015 brings.
Yeah. Cool.
2016, who knows what we might talk about.
That's right. Maybe it will be in outer space, like we'll be like on the moon.
Yes, that sounds... I don't know if we'd be able to... Well, we could sell moon rocks.
That's right.
The Universal Shipping Program, or what would it be called?
That's right.
The Interplanetary Shipping Program.
Yep. Okay, Adam. Have a good night.
Hey, Jay. Thanks for reaching out and staying in touch. You guys are the best.
Okay, thanks. See ya. Bye.
Bye.